the people will not stand for sleight of hand and shifting sand. Democracy means everyone, equality means all or none. We the people will not fall for bigotry and border walls. Demonstrations, fevers burning, hope is growing, the tide is turning. Judgment day, you made your bed, you're gonna pay. Winds of change are swirling round, your house of cards is tumbling down. Your house of cards is tumbling down. We the people will arise, speak the truth, expose the lies. Oligarchs and pedophiles getting fat while children die. Judgment day, you made your bed, you're gonna pay. Winds of change are swirling round, your house of cards is tumbling down. Your house of cards is tumbling down. We hold these truths self-evident. How about an honest president? Life, liberty, and happiness for every color, gender, and sect. Judgment day, you made your bed, you're gonna pay. Winds of change are swirling round, your house of cards is tumbling down. Your house of cards is tumbling down. Yeah, that house of cards is tumbling down. Love is louder than gunshots that won't stop. Love is louder than a seething angry mob. Love is louder than a bellowing debate. Love is louder than hate. Truth is not ours if we're too blind to see. Freedom's not ours till everyone is free. Hope is brighter than the flashing of blue lights. Hope is brighter than cities burning in the night. Hope is brighter than gold-plated billionaires. Hope is brighter than despair. Truth is not ours if we're too blind to see. Freedom's not ours till everyone is free. Peace is stronger than the politics of fear. Peace is stronger than high-tech combat gear. Peace is stronger than iron bars and guarded doors. Peace is stronger than these walls. Truth is not ours if we're too blind to see. Freedom's not ours till everyone is free. Everyone is free. Everyone is free. Love is louder when we all sing with one voice. Hope is brighter when everybody has a choice. Peace is stronger when we hold a stranger's hand. Together we will find a way, rise up and take our stand. With love and hope and peace, my friends, rise up.
We would like to begin this evening by acknowledging that the land we are on is ceded territory of the Catawba people. For more than 6,000 years, the Catawba Nation had over 1 million acres, millions of acres in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. In 1763, the Congress of Augusta outlined boundaries for the Catawba people that was only 144,000 acres. Today, the Catawba Indian Nation, a federally recognized tribe, is located outside of Rock Hill, South Carolina.
On the streets of Cornelius, these are some of the voices heard in response to our signs of fascism.
Losers, get a job.
Make America great again.
You're lucky I don't have my gun.
Trump 2028.
Fucking morons.
Actual quotes, all of these from citizens of Cornelius. Our grandparents did fight fascism.
My grandpa's ship was torpedoed by the Nazis. He survived 12 days in a lifeboat in the Indian Ocean before rescue. This was his officer's cow.
My uncle died in World War II. I never got to meet Uncle Bill.
My grandfather fled Mussolini's fascist Italy. He came to America. He died before the end of the war, never to see his family again.
There are other voices on the streets of Cornelius.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
That was a truck with Hispanic landscape workers.
Yay! The sign people!
And the African-American veteran that stopped his truck and clapped as the demonstrators passed in front of him. One car passes and waves, the next car flips us off. Then a thumbs up, and then thumbs down. We see the hatred and the rage, and the gratitude and solidarity. We wonder, which voices will win this day? How will the fight end this time? Which voices will create the America that our children will grow old in?
Back in 2016, but I think it still works for today. This is a history lesson for whom it may concern. Mussolini swung naked from his heels. Hitler and his bride committed suicide. Tojo's neck broke at the end of a rope. In the end, history proves unkind to strong men and tyrants. Vlad III sought to conquer and enslave, leaving forests of impaled souls in his teeming army's wake. But his adversaries, the Ottomans, perfected the art of revenge. Draw, quarter, and decapitate. Pol Pot littered fields with 3 million grinning skulls, only to be arrested and imprisoned by friends who denied him treatment for his illnesses and joked while he succumbed. See how at every turn the human spirit chooses freedom over slavery, refusing to yield to the jackboot's heel or despot's bloody fist. Feel me, Ceausescu. Here's your firing squad on Christmas Day. Deal with me, Stalin. Poison, comrade asshole, by your loyal, trusted Maria. Idi Amin, Kim Jong-il, Saddam Hussein, Robert Mugabe, Lenin, Eichmann, Bloody Nick, Bashar al-Assad, Pinochet, Rafael Trujillo, Slobodan Milosevic, Jerome, Putin, Papadak, and Donald Trump. This is the lesson history teaches, that people always break their chains. We come with death, or worse, in our hearts. We arrive by torchlight, howling and growling. Always in the end, our so-called leaders beg for mercy before the final blow is struck.
We the people will not stand for a sleight of hand and shaking stand. Democracy means everyone, equality means all. We the people will not fall for hate speech and border wars. Demonstration, fear is burning, hope is growing, the tide is turning. Judgment Day, you made your bed, you're gonna pay. Winds of change are swirling around your house of cards. Your house of cards is tumbling down. We the people will arise, speak the truth, was alive. Oligarchs and pedophiles, getting back while children cry. Judgment Day, lay your bed, you're gonna pay. The winds of change are swirling around your house of cards. It's tumbling down. That house of cards is tumbling down. We hold these truths self-evident. How about an honest struggle? Life, liberty, and happiness for every gender and sex. Judgment Day, you made your bed, you're gonna pay. Winds of change are swirling around that house of cards. It's tumbling down. That house of cards is tumbling down. That house of cards is tumbling down.
Day by day, step by step. I started following them on Instagram as they traversed Georgia, walking single file along the country road, barefoot or wearing sandals, clad in copper-colored robes, and accompanied by a tireless, brown and white stray dog named Loki, whose calm face expressed the otherworldly wisdom of an old soul. It would not be an exaggeration to say that I became obsessed. The monks had left their monastery in Fort Worth, Texas, on a 2,300-mile peace walk to Washington, D.C., led by the venerable Bhikkhu Panakara and, of course, Aloka. After this year's cruelty, the tearing away of our democracy and national goodwill, seeing these monks quietly walking 2,300 miles in support of peace, mindfulness, and nonviolence struck a deep chord in my yearning heart. The number of monks was close to the number of Jesus' disciples. Their route was similar to the route of civil rights marchers 60 years ago. One of the monks lost a leg after being hit by a car, but continued in a wheelchair. So much archetypal resonance furnished their quest that I nearly cried every time I saw them striding single file up the road. Aloka, whose name means light, followed them during a walk in India, and they brought him back to the States. One day, when I checked on the monk's progress through South Carolina, Aloka wasn't along. He injured his leg, and a veterinarian diagnosed the need for surgery. The monks posted that they hoped Aloka would be rejoining them. My husband Jeff, a veterinarian, shook his head. To recover
The myth of neutrality. I wonder what it feels like to say, I'm not political, to stand in a burning century and insist you do not feel the heat, to watch smoke curl from neighborhoods, from camps, from borders, from bodies, and call it complicated. It must be a rare and shimmering privilege to believe that human suffering is optional content, something you can mute, something you can scroll past with a thumb that has never trembled for what's coming. You say, I'm not political, like it's clean, like it costs you nothing, like it is not built on the backs of those who do not get to opt out. But listen carefully. For some of us, politics is not a topic. It is the architecture of our cage. It is the reason our names are flagged, our bodies searched, our grief questioned, and our dead renamed collateral. It is the ink that redraws the maps without asking if we still live there. You get to be apolitical because no one is legislating your right to exist. No one is debating whether your children deserve food and water. No one is arguing on television about whether your blood counts. You call it neutrality. But neutrality is a direction. It is a choice. It is never neutral. It always bends toward power, towards boots on throats, it always cushions the hands holding the weapons. You say it doesn't affect me. And that sentence lands like a confession. It does not affect you. That is the point. You have never had to understand that if you stop paying attention, someone disappears. That if you grow tired, someone is erased. That if you close your eyes, the machinery keeps running. You think this is about parties, about red and blue, about elections and noise.
It is not. It is about whether human beings are caged or fed, bombed or sheltered, erased or remembered. When a child is pulled from rubble, that is not politics. When families are herded into tents and told to be grateful, that is not politics. When entire peoples are starved, detained, sterilized, displaced, that is not politics. That is violence with paperwork. And if you can look at that and say, I don't get into politics, understand what you are actually saying. My comfort matters more than their survival. You do not get to call that neutrality. Call it what it is: distance, safety, privilege. So vast, you mistake it for high moral ground. The gods have abandoned us. There is no divine referee. There is only us and the choices we make. There is only what we are willing to tolerate. So when you say, I'm not political, know that for some of us, that sentence does not sound peaceful. It sounds like the door closing. It sounds like being left outside in a rain of fire. It sounds like you choosing to remain untouched while others are crushed. You may not feel the blade, but we do. And we are tired of pretending your indifference is harmless. You are not apolitical. You are insulated. If you can afford not to care, look at the ground beneath you and ask, who paid for that ground with their voice, their body, their blood, so that you could stand there untouched and call it neutrality? Ask yourself, who gets hurt by your silence? And whether the only reason it isn't you is because someone else is standing where the bombs land. One day, history will ask who spoke and who stayed comfortable. I hope I wasn't political feels like enough when it answers you back and asks you, where were you?
Were teenagers when Dad, who had come to America from fascist Italy at 15 years old, kept repeating, remember what I've told you. Remember what I've told you. Dad, I said, what did you say? What did you tell us? You kids need to be prepared. There is going to be a revolution in this country.
Talking about a revolution, it sounds like a whisper.
4 weeks and 4 days after the inauguration, I awoke with a dry, irritating cough I'd had all week. Nothing would take it away. Nothing. I couldn't sleep, rolled out of bed, tiptoed into the family room, grabbed my phone. The first thing I saw, another group of government workers let go by the felon president. This time, those out west working for the National Park Services. Many were workers who helped with the fires that swept throughout the southwestern parts of California. I'd already been upset about workers back here on the East Coast, but today, maybe because I'd been fighting some bug all week, maybe because I didn't sleep well during the night, maybe because of the persistent cough that couldn't go away, as if it had something to say. I headed to the kitchen, sat at the island, my heart going out to my fellow citizens, learning this morning that they may no longer have a job. It didn't matter if they had children or other family members they were helping and caring for, or if they had a mortgage, car payments, student loans. They were out of a job. That's when I lost it. I stepped into my healing touch room at the front of the house, closed the door so as not to awaken my husband, looked at my cell phone, and dialed my senior senator from the state of North Carolina, the same man I'd called incessantly after the 2016 election. Here I was again, talking to a different young man who answered the phone. Barely able to speak, I cleared my crackling throat and started. I'm calling from Cornelius, North Carolina. I know I have laryngitis, but you're going to hear it happen crackle. Tell Senator Tillis that I am one of his constituents and quite upset. No, extremely upset that the president is going after our own people, our very own people, I reiterated into the phone. Yes, ma'am, he said. What if you lost your job today? What if they said to you, you're finished, and you have a mortgage, or a child, or bills you are responsible for? How would you feel? I asked without waiting for an answer. I want you to also tell the senator that the president is a liar. He's a liar. Russia invaded Ukraine. We all saw it. We all knew it. Just because he says something doesn't mean make it true. Tell Senator Tillis that. Also tell him he must have the courage to stand his ground. I know journalists say that his opinions are more centrist, but if he allows this president to go after our people and accept the lies, there is no middle ground. My voice kept cracking, words breaking through the coughing I'd moved through all night. And then I said, listen, if Tom Tillis does not have the courage to stand up to the truth, to help the people, then he needs to step down and let someone else who has the nerve to do the hard work take his place. Yes, ma'am, I'll tell him. My mother would have said, if you can't do what you want to, if you can't do what you went to Washington to do, come home and get a job. And I was going to say something else, but I'm holding back. There was no sound coming from the line. I'm a gray-haired older woman, and if I don't say it now, when will I? Forget the courage, I said to the young man. Tell Senator Tillis, if he doesn't have the balls, then come home. I heard the guy gulp when I had said the word balls, so I continued. I want you to use my words, I said to the young man, my exact words.
A poet worth killing. Dictators come for the poets first. I once knew a poet who could tell you the truth 7 different ways before you even finished reading the title. W.H. Auden said, a poet's only political duty is to defend one's language against corruption for fucking poets. Let me paraphrase the rest. Because when people are lied to over and over and over and over, words lose meaning. People lose trust, and then all hell breaks loose. Let's say we know an apprentice dictator who wouldn't know the truth if it sidled up to the old Commonwealth caterpillar and offered to sit on his mushroom. Said ABC Darien dictator doesn't care for facts, nor does he care who are you. Every time he speaks, he equivocates, prevaricates, obfuscates, bloviates. He often overcompensates. You know what I'm saying? He lies boldly. So any poet who could cut through the relentless bullshit and shine a little light on the dank darkness that is the terrifying truth that is buried way, way, way down in the skanky, twisted guts of a man who cannot fly, but who fails up and up. A poet who could do it with some style and match the audacity of all this mendacity. Well, that just might be a poet worth killing. Who's in?
Something about suffragettes, Tennessee, 19th Amendment. Oh,
Really? Are you kidding me? Excuse me, I'm going to interrupt here.
Oh, please do. I really don't know what
Well, I
I'm doing.
looked at the program. I'm sorry. Hi. Okay. I was looking at the program and I know about this, so I will take this. Good. Please. Thank you. I'll take the floor. There was a push that really ramped up for women's rights during the Civil War. But after the war ended, there was this interesting thing that happened where the word male was conspicuously inserted into the Constitution for the first time, which solely excluded women. That's when the fight started. So, let me take you back to, say, 1872. A feisty woman by the name of Susan B. Anthony, who led the National Women's Suffrage Association, went to the polls in New York on the grounds that anyone born in the United States was a citizen and had the right to vote. Well, she was arrested. She was tried. She was convicted for crime, voting while female. Then a few years after that, Virginia Minor of Missouri went to register to vote. She was denied. She was not having that. She sued. That case actually went all the way to the Supreme Court. Good news. The bench unanimously voted that women of the United States were citizens. Yes! The bad news. That being a citizen does not grant you the right to vote. On it decades of dedication, organizing, lobbying, marches, and a whole other war that happened before President Woodrow Wilson would even consider supporting women's rights. He was so worried about the difficult midterms at 1918. Well, give it about 2 years and 35 states ratified the amendment for women to vote. 8 rejected it. However, the movement needed just one state, just one, to ratify the amendment to make it law. Eyes were on Tennessee. And Tennessee, in that moment, was not only their best chance, but maybe their only hope. Oh, that fight in Nashville between the yellow rose wearing women's suffragists and the red rose wearing anti-suffragist campaigners was fierce and it was intense. One of the targets of the vote was a young Harry Byrne, 24 years old, youngest of the legislature at the time, and actually up for re-election, which isn't bad for a 24-year-old, I'd say. You know, he knew his mother, Bev Byrne, was for the women's suffrage amendment. He knew because he got a letter from her. He also knew that his constituents were fully against it. So it meant he also knew that his political career was riding on this vote. Picture it. Tennessee, August 18, 1920. The legislature had called a special session just to vote on the amendment. And in walked young Harry Byrne into the chamber wearing a red rose on his lapel. Oh, everybody noticed. And everybody watched that red rose. Well, things got started. First off, a motion was made to just table the vote altogether. You know, Harry hadn't been relieved by that because he voted yes. However, it was a tie, so something else had to happen. The speaker at the time, anti-suffragist Stephen M. Walker, called for a vote on the amendment itself with full confidence that it would actually fail. In this moment, a yes vote for Byrne would give women finally the right to vote. In this moment, the no vote for Byrne would mean the amendment and possibly the movement's ultimate defeat. It was a hot summer day in that Tennessee room, and it was time for young Harry Byrne to vote. He stood up with that letter in his pocket from his mother that he pored over and over and over the night before, urging him to be a good boy and vote for that amendment, all while wearing that red rose. In that moment, the pressure on Harry Byrne was immense. He took that letter from his mother out of his pocket, and he held it in his hand. Dear Harry,
I've never sent a telegram before. I drove all the way down in the downpour, so I sure hope this reaches you in time before your vote today. I'm real proud you're in that office, son. There's something I must say. Father gave his life in the Great War 3 years ago. You know I'll be kicked out of Hickman County for saying so. I hate this forbidden Hindu. And I wish I'd had the right to vote him out. Now I know I'm just an old farmer's widow, milking cows in Tennessee. But I've read the papers and I've seen the women marching to be freed. It made me think maybe I could hop a train to Washington, D.C. and march too. Only I was home praising you, so I did the best to teach you what I knew. Now your own little girl is nearly free. What do you want her future to be? Vote I for her, my son. Let your mama know she raised a good one. Oh, I made that meatloaf you like. So come on home when you're done.
Senator Byrne, your vote, sir. Senator, cast your vote.
Yes, sir. My vote is aye.
Amendment is ratified. We are adjourned.
Fellow citizens of Rochester, New York, we, the Rochester Ladies Anti-Slavery Sewing Society, welcome you. All 600 of you. To the Corinthian Hall on this 5th day of July, 1852, to commemorate the signing of the Declaration of Independence. We have invited our friend, Mr. Frederick Douglass, to address this distinguished audience. In the state of Maryland, where Mr. Douglass was born sometime in 1818, into the institution of slavery, he was denied schooling, lessons, education. He was sold to a notorious slave breaker where he suffered daily physical and psychological abuse. And yet, Mr. Douglass did learn to read, and he devoured everything he could get his hands on. Newspapers, political papers, literature, and in turn, he taught others who were enslaved on the plantation. When Mr. Douglass was about 20 years old, he escaped the bondage of slavery and found refuge in the safe house of an abolitionist here in New York. In the South, Mr. Douglass is called a runaway slave, but we call him a prolific writer and one of the most famous intellectuals of our time. I have a feeling that Frederick Douglass will live to advise presidents and give lectures to thousands, including on the subject of women's rights. In our current year of 1852, while millions of African Americans are still enslaved in parts of a country we refer to as land of the free, we welcome Mr. Frederick Douglass, who is our guest of honor this evening. His speech tonight is titled, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July." Please join me in giving him a very warm welcome.
What remains to be answered? Is it that slavery is not divine? God did not establish it. Our doctors of divinity are mistaken. That which is inhuman cannot be divine. Who can reason such a proposition? They can, may, I cannot. The time for such argument is past. Oh, had I divinity to reach the nation's ear! Today I would cry to banish him of plain ridicule. Blasted reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. Not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind. The filling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. Propriety of the nation must be started. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed. And his crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced. What? The American slave is your 4th of July? I answer. A day that reminds him above all the other days of the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he's constant victim. There's not another nation on earth guilty of practices more shocking and blighting than the people of the United States at this very hour. How can I love a country that dooms 3 million of my brethren? Some of them my own brothers and sisters, who are now clanked in the chains of slavery upon the plains of the South, and whose warm blood is now fattening the sores of Maryland and Alabama, in whose crushed spirits lies that dark shadow of oppression, shutting out and extinguishing rather those cherry-ripe rays of liberty, lighted in the souls of all of God's children by the omnipotent hand of deity itself. How could I love a country thus cursed, thus subdued with the blood of my brethren? I have not, and I cannot have, any love for this country as such, or for its constitution.
Excuse me, I've got work to do. The world is on fire. Bombs and drones fight a war absent of boots. People are dying. Innocent women and children are sent to form a human chain. Bluster, threats, the art of the deal. Another taco. Everybody loses again. Excuse me, I've got work to do. The world is on fire. Calls to make, doors to knock, people to gather, and voices to lift. Divided communities to unite. Excuse me, I've got work to do. The world is on fire. Azaleas and cherry blossoms blanket the scene. Will someone notice? What will you do while the world is on fire?
Christy, we need you over here. Julie said you need to sing Shabbat Shabbat.
Find their passion. My images are extensions of myself and what I hold true, and I have fallen into resignation and alienated myself from the very core of my resilience. I know that tyranny thrives on apathy, but my silence had become a white flag, an awakening to the realities of systemic inequality that has always existed underneath what we call freedom. Zoe is the gentle catalyst, helping me reclaim this essential part of my own life. Periods of feeling defeated, authoritarianism too big to show in my lens. Can I frame it? Does it matter? What can I do? I'm only one person. Capture hope, determination, the collective resistance. Is there enough reverence in the world for me to tell this story? What is the worth of art that can influence others to feel seen, heard, and safe? State of my country dragging me down, I'd surrendered, lost creativity. Hate had left me at a loss for words, for joy, for the feeling that truth and inspiration could bring me home to my heart. Zoe gently reminds me of her tenuous future. Do it again, she implores. Pick up your camera. Do not let anything stand in your way. Her plea is heartfelt, tears in her eyes. I see you, Grandma. the flow that you are when you just let go and share yourself. Pick up your camera, even if your hands tremble. My voice had been shoved to the back of my closet, memories resting behind my lens, lingering in the shadows of truths that have faded. Now is the time. Awaken your voice. Feel your rebirth of power to make a difference. This protest is a rising up, a collection of voices, and your words are your images. Her encouragement is just the push needed to bring me out of my despair. One voice can make a difference. You know this. You've been here before. It is the essence of what you were brought here for. Feel the quickening to pair your voice with your camera. Tell the story as you see it. For you see, my eldest grandchild, you are a velvet hammer, and I am honored to share the journey with you. It's your future, and I will fight to protect it with every cell in my body. You have gathered the reappearance of tenacity within my soul, my quietly courageous granddaughter. You knew that my voice had been buried, resting in the memories that I felt were no longer valid. So you reached out to me, our hands embraced, and you reminded me exactly what I am protecting.
Oh, yes it is, Carol. Come visit. That's what we love about it. The weirdness. And you know who hates us? Our president. He can't tolerate tolerant people. And I'm sure you've heard him call us war ravaged and say we're under siege by Antifa. And also that being here is like living in hell. Yep, we're dangerous, violent. According to them, you can't even walk around Portland. Trump's never even been here. In September, when he sent 200 National Guards in for 60 days, he posted, "The radical left's reign of terror in Portland ends now." So, we weird Portlanders fought back. It started off with the Portland Frog. And it went crazy from there. Every day, people in groups come out to protest in front of the ICE building. Veterans, clergy, all kinds of inflatables. There I am. Swing classes, we have food trucks. People pass out flowers and lollipops and tarot cards. Every day, people in groups come out. And there's a guy in a chicken costume with an American flag cape. He's there every single day. We have 80s style aerobics classes, sweating out the fascists. Rachel Maddow and Fox News on the same night. Coverage on right-wing media than all of January 6th. They love to make fun of us, and they're making our point, because it's hard to laugh at the ridiculousness of it and call us violent Antifa terrorists. Every year, Portland has a beloved tradition called the Naked Bike Ride. This year, with masked, armed, lawless paramilitary goons swarming the city and kidnapping our neighbors, they called an emergency bike ride. Yep, I was there. Me and hundreds of people on bikes, some in costumes, some in chaps or tutus and nothing else. People of all shapes and sizes and various levels of undress. We got to the DHS building and waved at the masked ICE officers on the roof. They had their riot gear on and were pointing their guns at us, ready for war. Oh, that's me too. I just retired from my career as a hospice and palliative care physician, so now I've got lots of time for protesting. In January, after Renee Good and Alan Spreddy were murdered, we showed up for the ICE Out protest led by union organizers. After speeches, we began our 4-block march to the ICE facility. Families with dogs and babies and strollers, older people with walkers, some in wheelchairs. There were a couple thousand of us. When I was about a block from ICE, the explosions began, loud and deep. Boom! 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 The thugs had actually left the building and walked a full block to intercept us. Without warning, canisters of tear gas fired at the crowd, and we watched the thick smoke rise above the street toward us as the front row of marchers began to scream. Children were vomiting, everyone was choking and coughing. There was chaos, and no one could move. The gas blew back through the tightly packed crowd. I tripped and fell. My eyes were burning. My lungs were constricted. I couldn't see, and I coughed violently, crawling and feeling my way through the planters and over rocks. I crept into a side street, catching my breath on the ground, trying to escape the toxic air. This is Trump's America. A place where brown-skinned people are rounded up without due process, where protesters are gunned down and left to die on frozen streets, where a little girl with a pink sweater not far from me screams, "Stop! It burns! Stop the spicy air!" I called my wife, who was at home making us dinner. I wanted to tell her we were okay. She told me what she always tells me. She was proud to come home safe. I looked around at the people helping each other, rinsing eyes out, dousing faces, wiping away the sticky, noxious liquid. People were hugging each other, friends and strangers alike. And I told Susan that moving to Portland was the best decision we ever made. We are weird, and we do what we have to do to protect our neighbors, our children, and our country. We Portlanders, we're a little spicy ourselves. They can't stop our creativity. They can't stop us from singing and dancing, from wearing unicorn costumes. They're never going to stop us from showing up, providing health care to those who are hiding, helping kids get to school, and we're buying up all the tamales and fruit from our street vendors. Because now more than ever, we all need to support each other. So yes, we're weird. We look after each other. And we always have each other's backs. Always. Yes.
So I wrote this a little over a year ago. I think it's a little lighter than the first one. This is the body of water formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico. Upon learning her name had been changed without her consent, the body of water formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico, a name she didn't love but had grown accustomed to, decided to investigate. And she learned from a shipboat captain out of Pass Christian, as confirmed by a drunken oil rig operator who nearly toppled from his post when queried, that a king or president or chief or ruler, whatever they were called these days, of the land mass to her north, had dictated or ordered or ruled or proclaimed she would henceforth be known as the Gulf of America. To be honest, she liked this name no more or less than her previous name, but was irked no end she'd not been asked. What she preferred, plus she was already in a state, overheated and overwrought, overfished and overdrilled, plastiqued by beachgoers, saturated with oil spills, and pestered by cruise ships leaking human piss and shit. Why not Gulf of Destruction, or Sea of Your Regrets, or Abyss of Your Worst Terror? She learned the man responsible was a petty two-bit hustler, a real estate developer and convicted fraudster, one of those men handsy with women who, due to his power, were reluctant to complain, but he fingered the wrong bitch this time. Turning and burning, she considered New Orleans, which she hadn't recently visited, and Galveston, which deserved another ass-kicking, or Western North Carolina, which thought it would be spared for another 100 years. Or how about Naples or Fort Myers, Tampa or the Bama Coast? Maybe even spawn a boomerang that took out Miami and the MAGA Master's precious Mar-a-Lago fucker had it coming. But for now, she waited and warmed, knowing time was on her side, reveling in the sun's rays, taking solace in the fact she'd been here long before him and would be laughing and lapping long after he lay shipwrecked and disheveled on some distant shore.
Yes, and how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many years does one man have before he can hear people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows too many people have died? Answer, my friend, blowing in the wind. Answer is blowing in the wind.
Oh, what made fatuous sunbeams toil to break Earth's sleep at all? That's from a poem entitled Futility by Wilfred Owen, who was a World War I soldier and poet. 1. A poet's words cannot reach violent, scavenging, Corvine Earl Kings, harriers of innocence, thieves of peace, murderers of children. Keen, you mothers, keen. 2. Scars which are scratched onto the page have been the same for centuries, coming as beggars, wasted and lame, like fatuous sunbeams, to silent sentries. Scream, you poets, scream. 3. The witnesses, with their eyes squeezed tight, absolve themselves because they say they're blind. Guardians of nothing but their wasted, precious time. Those are the people these haggard words want to find. Speak, you mothers, speak. Scribble, you poets, scribble.
This poem was written in a workshop, spiritual formation workshop, where we use creativity to explore areas of spirituality. We were looking at the Sabbath rest. This poem I named Finding Rest. I go down to the place where my family lived. Everyone was gone. Our paths crossed along the road. They say, you must fit in here, or not at all. Not at all? What about love? Is love conditional on fitting in? I do not know that love conditional. Love cannot be spoiled with condition. It must persevere. It must love. Love is love, not a condition of the mind, but instead an action of the heart. It does not go away. It loves. Where do I belong now? And who do I belong to? I belong to love. Farewell, my familiars. I bid you love.
Love is louder. Love is louder than gunshots that won't stop. Love is louder. Love is louder than a seething angry. Love is louder. Love is louder than a bellowing debate. Love is louder. Love is louder. Truth is not ours if we're too blind to see. Freedom's not ours till everyone is free. Hope is brighter. Hope is brighter than the flashing of new lights. Hope is brighter. Hope is brighter. He's burning in the night. Hope is brighter. Hope is brighter than a gold-plated billionaire. Hope is brighter. Hope is brighter than truth is not ours if we're too blind to see. Freedom's not ours till everyone is free. Peace is stronger. Peace is stronger than the politics of fear. Peace is stronger. Peace is stronger than high-tech combat gear. Peace is stronger. Peace is stronger than iron bars and guarded doors. Peace is stronger. Peace is stronger than truth is not ours if we're too blind to see. Freedom's not ours till everyone is free. Everyone is free. Everyone is Love is louder. Love is louder when we all sing with one voice. Hope is brighter. Hope is brighter. Everybody has a choice. Peace is stronger. Peace is stronger